What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Here to bring you a video giving you 10 players I believe still could be cut prior to this season starting. Obviously, OTAs are wrapping up now. Training camp is coming in the season in a couple of weeks. So sometime between training camp, preseason, basically before the start of the season, I believe some of these 10 guys, maybe all 10 maybe, could be cut. Hopefully, if they are cut, they'll land in a better position and land another job. But I think these guys time in their respective spot could be done. So let's get into the list, guys. I do have some guys who did not make this list. They were very, very close, but in my opinion, I think they are safe for right now. That's Alan Lazard from New York Jets. He was very close. I mentioned him earlier in another most likely to be cut video this offseason, and he made the list then. I'm starting to feel he's going to stay. I kind of changed my opinion on him. I think he will stay. So he's someone who is safe. Another guy as well is Trent Brown of the Bengals. I think he'll be safe as well. I think Amarius Mims, from the Georgia Bulldogs now with the Bengals will sit the full first year unless someone gets hurt, obviously. So I think they're going to let him sit red shirt this year, and then I think next year Brown will be off the team. So those are two guys I really expect to stay with their teams this year. But I could be wrong there as well, so those two guys are safe in my opinion. Let's get into the list. Number one, and there's no ranking, no one I feel super strong about. All these guys are kind of on the same level. But number one on this list, Damar Hamlin from the Bills. Obviously, he came to fame in a tragic way, but he survived, stayed on the team last year, all that great stuff. Great story. But the Bills have upgraded. They have reshaped their safety spot that he plays at, and they added on three guys: Taylor Rapp, Mike Edwards, and Cole Bishop. They drafted Cole Bishop from this year's draft. Taylor Rapp is a known, serviceable, versatile safety. Mike Edwards the same way. They both been around for a while now, and I think those two guys are immediately better than Damar Hamlin. You have a guy like Cole Bishop. I think the writing's on the wall. I think Damar Hamlin, unless he shows improves, I think he will be off the team for the Bills this upcoming season before the season starts. Then look at last year as well. The cardiac arrest event that happened in 2022. But look at last year in 2023. He only suited up for 5 games. He only appeared in 5 games. So I definitely think his time in Buffalo could be done, but I could be wrong as well. So we will see about that. But let's get into it. Number 2. Miami Dolphins running back Jeff Wilson Jr. This one could be obvious, but it might not be. It seems obvious, but it might not be the case. Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, both guys who got off to a great start with the Dolphins last year. But as far as Achane goes last year, had an injury bug, missed a couple games. Do you have Raheem Mostert, who got a new contract, if I'm not mistaken, this past offseason? He's had games missed in the past. He's known early in his career for missing games and stuff like that. Not missing games like skipping out, but he's been injured and stuff like that as well. So, with those two guys there, I know they drafted Jalen Wright, who was my RB1 in this year's draft. But, if you're going to need maximum depth, not depth. You're going to need maximum depth behind those two guys that are in the front, Mostert and Achane. And Mike McDaniel wants to run the ball heavily. So, I think for some reason, if Jeff Wilson is cut, I think he could be brought back later on, depending on how things would work out, because Mostert or Achane gets banged up. But I do like them keeping all 4, but that's kind of unrealistic. Drafting a guy like Wright, he's going to be RB3 most likely, and the odd man out has to be Jeff Wilson Jr., who hasn't really played great. He's cool, serviceable back, but since joining Miami, he hasn't really took off like I thought he could, honestly. And to me, Achane came out of nowhere last year as well, so that was a definite shock in my opinion to see Achane play so well. So Jeff Wilson could go to the Niners or someone else, and I think be a pretty good serviceable backup, RB3, something like that, the same way he was last year with his Dolphins team. So I think he'll be on the move this offseason, but I will not be surprised to see if they keep him too, knowing the injury history of both of those two guys, Achane and Mostert. That's 2. Number 3, And it's a tough one for me. Cleveland Browns receiver David Bell. Obviously, the Browns added some depth to that receiving spot this offseason. They added Jerry Jeudy via trade from the Broncos. That finally happened. He was being rumored to be traded for the last year and a half. That's finally been made official. Well, a while ago, but it's finally done. And then they drafted a guy like a lot in this year's class, Jamari Thrash. I think he can definitely do some good things for this team here. So I think the last couple of spots for the receiving room for the Browns probably come down to Bell or Cedric Tillman. I think the Browns might like Cedric Tillman more, because they don't really have no one on the roster like Tillman. Cooper, Judy, they're kind of the same mold of David Bell. So I don't, and also Elijah Moore. So I don't think they're gonna need a replica of the same guy and David Bell, another guy, because Jamari Thrash isn't the same type, but he's not that far off either. Tillman's a more big body guy. He would be, a potential red zone threat or a different look out there at receiving than what they have now. So I think David Bell, who was thought of to be a kind of a dark horse player a couple years ago, coming from the draft, I believe from Western Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Going to the Browns hasn't really done much yet. So, hopefully he can, if he does get let go by the Browns, he could bounce back and go somewhere else. But I definitely think, he's super talented, and he was very good coming out of college, but just hasn't found his role yet. And hopefully, if he is moved on, he finds it with a new team there. So that is number 3. So going back, just if you're new here for this video, DeMar Hamlin 1, Jeff Wilson 2, David Bell 3, and then number 4, we have Robert Woods. Robert Woods for the Houston Texans, I think makes the most sense. Adding Stephon Diggs to already having Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Noah Brown, John Mechie, and then they just traded for Ben Skownick a couple months ago, weeks ago, whatever. They can save $5 million by cutting Woods. That makes sense. Obviously, Woods has been around for a long time, been very good and reliable for a long time, but he is getting up there in age. I think that makes the most sense. So I say Robert Woods, saving $5 million and going to the Texans, and they can reinvest that somewhere else or for the future. I think it makes the most sense. So I say Robert Woods will be on the outs in Houston pretty soon. Number 5 on this list is a kicker, and that is Riley Patterson from the Jaguars. Riley Patterson was with the Jaguars in 2022. After that season, he spent last year with the Lions and the Cleveland Browns, returned as free agent to the Jaguars this offseason, but the team drafted a kicker, Cam Little, and normally, not guaranteed, but normally when a team drafts a kicker, unless he comes into camp horrible, they normally keep him. So there's a chance Riley Patterson stays, but I think the draftee Cam Little wins out. He's a pretty good kicker as well, and there's a reason why Patterson bounced around from a couple teams the last couple years. So I do have Riley Patterson being on the outs, unless he can beat out Cam Little, which is possible. I do have him being out in Jacksonville. So now on to number 6 on this list. Number 6, we have Kadarius Toney. Someone, I think it's clear as day. If we had to do a FanDuel DraftKings bet on who would be cut, I think Kadarius Toney would be easy money. I think he would be minus 100. Like I think he's a favorite. So obviously came in the league with a lot of promise from Florida. Went to the Giants, was drafted there. Had an okay start, finished rough there. Then was traded to the Chiefs a couple years ago. Was an impact player for that Super Bowl run, in the Super Bowl also. But ever since then, it's been terrible on the field and off the field. I think Toney is definitely on his way out, unless he comes into camp a new man with new hands. I think we could definitely see the end of Kadarius Toney with this winning Chiefs team. But you never know. We could be, I could be off there, but I don't think so. I don't think so. But we'll definitely see there. On to the next guy on this list. You have quarterback, Atlanta Falcons quarterback, my favorite team, Taylor Heineke. You have Kirk Cousins. You have Michael Penix Jr. Spent the first round pick on him. There is people, not is, there is a situation where I see Heineke staying. There are people saying that obviously if Kirk does go down, you're going to need a veteran to back up Penix. That makes sense, no doubt about it. That's definitely not a lie there. But so I can see them keeping three, but we could always bring back Heineke or, uh, or even another veteran quarterback because I think a lot of veterans will be cut this off season. But Heineke, he's not really the same. For me personally, I would say this: I like players in the same mold as their starters. I know a lot of teams don't really believe in that, but I do personally. So I wouldn't be mad at letting go of Heineke and getting another backup quarterback if we need one sometime down the line because Kirk Cousins and Penix aren't quite the same, but they aren't that different either. Heineke is more of a, I can't even think of a comp, but he's not really neither one. He's more Kurt than anything, but not really though. So he's like a real poor man Kirk Cousin kind of sorta, not really. So I prefer a big arm quarterback to come in that has a nice body type on him. Because Kirk's not a small guy. Penix not a small guy either, and Heineke is kind of a small guy. Can't make all the throws as well. So I would want someone who can make all the throws, like Kirk, like Penix, has the arm power to do so in this new offense. So I wouldn't mind seeing Heineke go, but I'm not opposed to people saying he's staying either because it does make sense. If Kirk go down, you want to have someone that's a veteran, but Penix is there for a reason. So if Kirk does go down, Penix might and could be the favorite to take over for him. So I'm not opposed to that either. So we'll see about that. But I'm in favor of letting Taylor Heineke go, for me personally. Back to the list, number 8, 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell came into the league pretty strong as a rookie. Came in 1,100 yards from scrimmage, 6 total touchdowns. Injuries in 2022 limit him to only 5 games, and then after that he was a backup role, obviously, when they got Christian McCaffrey for this team. The Niners now, they have a lot of running back depth now. Obviously bringing in Jordan Mason, Patrick Taylor Jr., and 2 rookies, Isaac Guerrero, I believe from Louisville, and Cody Schrader. So I think his spot there could be up for grabs and probably could be gone. Isaac Guerrero, especially someone who had a lot of promise. I believe he didn't he. I think he was the back that didn't start for his team, but had a lot of promise as far as uh, body type and all that stuff, speed. His combine rating was amazing. I think he's from Louisville, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the 2 backs came from Louisville, and he was the one that people liked a whole lot. He didn't start, but he got decent playing time and showed some promise. I think I believe that is him. So he's the one that people like a lot. Jordan Mason as well. So I think Moore, no, not Moore. I think Elijah Moore from the Browns, but Elijah Mitchell, excuse me. I think he definitely could be on his way out there from San Francisco. It'll be funny to see him and Jeff Wilson swap spots because they're kind of the same back that kind of had the same role, for the same team. So I wouldn't mind seeing that either. If the Niners drop him and bring back Jeff Wilson, and then the Dolphins drop Wilson obviously and bring in Mitchell, I wouldn't be surprised there. How the NFL works, similar schemes as well. The NFL get weird. Might as well kept the guy you already had, but you know how it goes. So doing to number 9 on this list, almost at the last one. 9 is Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi for the Patriots. I think he's on his way out from New England Patriots. Obviously, 3rd overall pick Drake May. Then you have the veteran who came in, Jacoby Brissett for the Patriots. Then you have, what's the kid from Tennessee's name? Joe Milton. Big arm guy. I think he makes the team. I think he stays around for a couple years. The word around town is everything I've been reading is that they think obviously May is the guy long term, but Milton could be the one that fetches them maybe a future first, future second, like a Jimmy G did a couple years ago. Obviously, different situations. Kind of sort of saying, if Drake made a Tom Brady here, Joe Milton would be the Jimmy G. But hopefully, we don't see that much of Milton because so Drake may can shine and flourish. But if the word gets around the league that Milton is balling out in practice, preseason games, he's lighting it up. After a year or two, they could definitely be teams knocking at the Patriots' door wanting to get Milton for a late first or very high second, late second. So I think that could be a realistic possibility. So that being the case, that's three quarterbacks. Teams do not keep four. So I think Bailey Zappi could be moving on and finding someone else to play at this offseason. Now on to the last on this list. A bunch of guys could be up here. Mo Alley Cox from the Colts, he's an option. Harrison Bryant from the Raiders could be an option. They have Zach Gentry, Michael Mayer, and Brock Bowers. He was definitely on this list. James Bradbury was on this list, but I have him being traded. But I could be wrong there. He could be on this list also. But I settle on number 10 being Diami Brown from UNC a couple years ago. He's now with the Commanders, obviously, for the last couple of years, and new offensive staff, new scheme, new coaches, new quarterback. Everything's new around there, but he hasn't really performed. He was someone who was thought of could be good. Drafted, I believe, I want to say somewhere between the third and fifth round, somewhere around that range, maybe even later. But he was thought of to be a pretty nice prospect and hasn't really panned out. So he was mostly a contributor on special teams in 2023, and I think by now most Washington fans thought he would have been, maybe could have started making plays and started getting some PT in after year two, but he's going on year four now and has minor roles. So I think he could stick on for special team purposes only, but I say new scheme, new coaches. They got some new guys in there as well. I think Brown will be on his way out as well. But he's someone who I think going to the right spot, maybe after injury, after need, he could step up and play well because he was talented. He still is talented, I'm pretty sure. Just hasn't had the reps or the time to get in there. He's behind a bunch of guys. He was behind Curtis Samuel, who was there now with the Bills, Jahan Dotson, and then Terry McLaurin. So, that's kind of tough there as well. But I thought he had a chance to play well, and I think going somewhere else, he still could revive his career as far as being a household name or even being a established wide receiver. I think that is possible. It's never too late. So those are my 10 guys. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have more names, or should I took off some of these names, or do you believe I'm wrong with some of these guys and they're going to be sticking? I know a lot of people might come around about some of these kickers, but I think the kickers like Riley and those guys from Jacksonville, I think he's probably out. But we'll see. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about it. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow the Twitch channel. Follow me on all social media. The same name at Stats Free Sports. And I will see you guys on the next video.